Am I centered? Yes.
This is the Weekly Scramble, a place where we chat about life over a cold one or two. It's time to belly up to the pod with Mike Fratelloni and your host, Chris Reavers.
That's right. It's time for the Weekly Scramble podcast. My name is Chris Reavers. With me, as always, is Mike Fratelloni. Hello, Michael.
How you doing, Reavers?
I'm doing well. We've got a number of things to get to on today's show, but the first thing I wanted to start with, you actually sent this to me, which was good thinking, because I had this in my notes as well to bring up to Joe and on our show. But it's one of those things that when you talk about it, you think, how did we get here?
Yeah.
Is this really a debate that we have to have? So this is from our friends downstairs at KSTP and KSTP.com. The United States Department of Justice is suing the state of Minnesota over state laws which offer some undocumented immigrants access to lower in-state college tuition. The government is also challenging a new state program which offers some students free tuition. Members of the federal government are arguing these state laws unconstitutionally discriminate against other U.S. citizens and from other states who aren't given the same benefits. Most recently, state lawmakers passed the North Star Promise Program, which launched just last fall and provides state funding to cover any unpaid tuition and college fees for students from families making less than $80,000 a year. The amount of money a student receives is based upon whatever costs aren't already covered by other grants and scholarships. In 2013, state lawmakers approved the Minnesota DREAM Act, allowing some undocumented Minnesotans to qualify for reduced in-state tuition rates and state financial aid. Governor Tim Walz and Minnesota Attorney General Keith Ellison, who are both named in the lawsuit challenging those state laws, say that they're reviewing the case. U.S. Attorney General Pam Bondi said the following about the lawsuit, which can be found by clicking here. No state can be allowed to treat Americans like second-class citizens in their own country by offering financial benefits to illegal aliens. The Department of Justice just won on this exact issue in Texas, and we look forward to taking this fight to Minnesota in order to protect the rights of American citizens first. President Donald Trump has made immigration a top issue since returning to the White House. In the past few months, several students at Minnesota colleges have been detained by ICE or had their visas revoked. Michael, when I saw that story, either whatever it was, late yesterday, early this morning, whatever it was, it's one of those things where I find myself saying, why is this even up for debate?
When you said it right, how did we get here?
How did we get here?
How did someone say, you know what, Minnesotans have to spend $33,000 to go to the University of Minnesota? Or if you're an illegal alien, undocumented illegal alien, whatever it is, you get to go for free? I don't get that.
Right.
I just don't get the logic to that. Weirdly, I think I'm being blue-pilled, right? right? I'm moving more to the left every day. But I don't get why we as Minnesotans would say, it doesn't matter. We're going to pay for people who are technically kind of just visiting here. They're not legally right. It's like they could have taken a vacation and just stayed here. Then all of a sudden we're paying for 4 years of their college. I don't get it. Not only are we paying for their college, but we're not paying for someone else's, right?
Right.
I just find it so weird. I don't.
It's maddening.
It's
not
maddening.
Weird is too kind of a term, and I don't want to put words into your mouth, but it's maddening because you and I both attended schools.
Yeah, University of Minnesota for me.
I was Mankato State. I worked a full-time job to pay for my tuition because I was trying desperately not to take out any student loans. And any student loans I did take out, I was paying them off with either summer jobs or trying to pay those off right away. And I wanted to be as responsible as possible. So I'll be damned if I'm going to be on the hook for some freeloader that moved here, whether illegally or whatever.
It's not their fault.
I'm not paying for that.
It's not their fault. We cannot be mad at the person who came here illegally to find the American dream.
Sure.
We cannot be mad at that person. I get it. What we can be mad at is the people who say, yeah, come here. We don't have to have you work. We're going to start paying for you to go to school. That seems weird. The last sentence of this story, right? And this is KSTP. They're good people. We know them, right? They said in the past several months, the past few months, several students at Minnesota colleges have been detained by ICE and had their visas revoked. Do you know of have you heard any stories of students at the University of Minnesota being detained by ICE?
The only reason I do remember one is because I remember us talking about it on the show, and there was a protest in regards to that one student.
One student.
Right.
But I don't recall.
There was
this.
also two at Mankato State who had their visas revoked as well, and I believe it was right around the Mankato graduation time. But anyway, go ahead. I'm sorry.
So, I mean, it's not hard to figure out, right? You say, who's on this Northern Star Dream Act or whatever it was called, right? You read it in the... let's
Sugar
see
Kitten Promises Forever
Who's
Act.
having Minnesota pay for their school here? Oh, these 80 guys are. Oh, and they fall into this dream category.
Right.
These are the people we shouldn't pay for their college anymore, right? I don't necessarily know if I want ICE to detain them, Reavers. I'm weirdly on the fence on that. But why are we paying for their college? I could not go to Mexico and say, pay for my college.
Well, here's the other thing that I don't understand, and I'm going to broaden this out just a little bit. We've already seen the damaging effects of things like this, whether it's free tuition, free health care, free whatever.
Mm-hmm.
California is bankrupt.
Totally
California is a complete disaster right now. Why are we trying to model after them and trying to follow suit?
No idea, because people don't understand the laws of unintended consequences.
Right.
We don't get this mayor that's running for New York in New York.
So glad you're going there, because that's where I was going to go next.
I mean, the one thing the guy can do is rap. Right?
Sure.
Have you seen some of his rap? I actually
have.
enjoy his rap quite a lot. I think he's really funny.
In fact, I'd hope he'd stick to it.
I would hope he'd stick to it.
Politics.
It is so weird to think that a guy who says we want to put in government-run grocery stores to lower prices, and people are voting for that bullshit, because what it is, Reavers, is complete and utter bullshit. Name one thing that you can think of that the government does better or cheaper than private industry. Name one thing. They can't do anything, right? They can't supply health care. They can't supply housing. They can't do anything.
Trash collection in St. Paul.
They can't do that cheaper, right? They just can't do it.
Snow removal in St. Paul.
They don't even do it in the alleys of St. Paul. It's so frustrating to think that some guy can espouse this crap, this total line of crap, and that enough New Yorkers are going to vote for a guy who, it's been only 20-some years since 9/11, and this guy was just screaming about how America was not great and that they had to have the Intifada come to the United States. He was just screaming about that months ago with Israeli and Gazan army or war, right? I'm breaking up. My mind's breaking up a little bit. But I thought, how have we gone that far in 20 years since 9/11 to say, I don't care that the guy's Muslim. I don't care that he's Muslim. Don't get me wrong. But he was just screaming to, bring the Intifada to America months ago. What the hell? What the hell is New York thinking?
I believe he has only been a resident of this country for less than 7 years.
Yeah, I thought, did he move here when he was 7?
That I don't know.
But have you heard like the multiple videos where he talks like he's Indian and then he talks like he's American? He's like, well, depending on where I am is how I speak. It's like, wait, what? What, he has like a deep Indian accent?
Kamala Harris did that too, and she was running. She would
deserve it. She was right. I mean, when she did it, it made sense. When this guy does, what I don't get is, why do people believe this crap? Why do they believe that if everything's free, their life is going to be better? It's never worked. It's never going to work. Anything you get for free is never worth anything. You have to know that. And it just is so frustrating that enough people are dumb to say, I mean, this guy could very well become the next mayor of the most important city in the world. And he's a communist, pure communist.
Well, and we don't have to look very far, because we were joking about this earlier during Garage Logic, but I'm going to say, if Omar Fateh,
he's going to win,
gets the Democratic nomination and becomes the mayor of Minneapolis, I mean, I'm not joking when I say this, shut it down.
He's going to win.
And I'm afraid you're right.
And, after the win in New York City, Omar's team said, hey, we got a chance here. The people are that dumb in New York. People are equally, if not more dumb here in this town. We are 100% going to vote for this guy.
There was also a video that just basically shows you exactly why we're in this sea of mess that we are. And it was when Zoran got the Democratic nomination for the mayoral race in New York. And it looked to be at some type of not amphitheater, but a stages type theater. and everyone was erupting in applause. I'm going to guess that this was his rally or whatever. And you look in the crowd, and it's all these liberal white women just cheering. And I'm thinking, do you folks not realize what you're signing up for here?
Yeah.
And that's the part that's so troubling to me is then all of a sudden, you mentioned the unintended consequences. Well, wake up, ladies and gentlemen. Why do we continue to, when we see that we've made a mistake in a certain regard, why do we continue to just auger into the ground?
And just keep doubling down.
Exactly. I don't get that.
Zoran Mandani, the gentleman who won the Democratic primary, was born October 18th, 1991. So he's a young guy. He's 33 years old, right? 33 years old. He was born in Kampala, Uganda. Right? So he's Ugandan, which is fine. I don't care that he's Ugandan. I don't care that he's Muslim. None of that does that matter to me. I do hate the fact that he's 33, and I do hate the fact that he's a communist. I just don't like that. I think he could destroy the most important, crucial town in the world with it. But, Democrats didn't do themselves any favor. Running a disgraced mayor against him, total loser, Cuomo,
Yep.
Governor Cuomo, not Mayor Cuomo, but running him against him. No wonder this guy won. But what a joke. And he's going to win. I bet you anything this guy's going to win.
The contrarian view would always be, and let me just throw this at you, is there enough built-in infrastructure with both the city of New York and the city of Minneapolis that wouldn't allow it to self-implode? I mean, I want to remain somewhat optimistic because there's no alternative.
Reavers, you just said it. His group of followers are middle-aged, prematurely gray-haired women that say, this is what we need. We need grocery stores that sell produce cheaper, right? We need these, and they need to be run by the government. And they can't, for some reason, they can't get past the fantasy of what that is and see the reality of what it would be. And we know what the reality. I'm going to tell you, the best grocery store to have in downtown New York City is a Walmart grocery store. They're going to offer the stuff. They have the reason to be the best priced. They have the reason to be the best quality stuff. They have the reason to run it, the financial reasoning to do it. A government-run grocery store is the epitome of communism.
Yep.
This is what you get. Talk about bread lines. Remember when that douche Bernie Sanders said, the nice thing about bread lines is there's bread at the end of the line. Or you can walk into any grocery store in America and choose from 600 loaves, Bernie, or you can stand in line like a communist. You're too stupid, Bernie. You shouldn't be allowed to be in the Senate. You're too dumb. And this Zoran Mandani, I'm screwing up his name, Zoran Mandani, is obviously too starry-eyed to know what the hell he's talking about, because he just can't. You can't believe this is right unless you're pretty stupid.
Right.
You just can't. You just have to be in a total fantasy world because it's never, ever worked.
Right.
Ever.
Period. Let's talk about what has worked, and that's our new partnership with our friends at We Are Nuts and wearenutsmn.com. I know you're speaking of grocery stores. They had that great promotion with Lunds and Barley's. Well, that has passed. However, go into Fratelloni's and you can find yourself with We Are Nuts.
You know what? Let me tell you. Head nut, the main guy, the guy who started it, has been going out to my stores today.
Nice.
And they're shooting me pics from him, like hugging my staff.
Oh, cool.
And he's got the big We Are Nuts. He looks just like his son, Michael.
Okay.
They look identical. So I'm like, I know that's the head nut. But they're out there just going to the stores right now, setting up these end caps. One of our stores, the beginning of this month, is up 900% in We Are Nut sales.
You're kidding me.
So I think the people that listen to our show and GL like this concept of the We Are Nuts.
Oh, that's so cool.
I mean, to think 900% is kind of a lot of percent of anything.
Here's
right?
what I want.
Yes.
Can you set up an end cap in my home
and just let you
and just have the cashews?
Yeah.
Can I
go
just have an end cap of cashews?
Through a can a day.
Easily.
That wasn't bad.
It's so good. But that's so good. I'm so glad to hear that.
Honest to God, it's so fun. I'm having so much fun with these guys.
Good.
They're having fun with us, our show, and GL. But to be up 900%, and we're never up 900% in anything. Like, it just doesn't happen.
Right.
And the stores that the end caps are up in, because we have all the selection now, are
killing it.
Killing it.
That's so cool.
It's obviously our listeners are loving it.
Thank you very much for that response, GLers, and for the Weekly Scramble listeners. But here's the thing. Maybe you can't get to a Fratelloni's, and maybe you're not in the area. Go to wearenutsmn.com, and you can see their entire selection. Like I mentioned, I'm a huge fan of the cashews. I also love the maple bourbon toffee almonds. They are so good. But for any snack lover in your life, it's a go-to snack, that's for sure. So please visit wearenutsmn.com and let them know that you heard about them right here on the Weekly Scramble podcast. So you had a video clip that you wanted to play on the show.
You know, I was a big fan of Rush Limbaugh. Were you a big fan of Rush?
To be honest,
you hated him. You
no,
thought he was a
not
dink.
it wasn't even that. When he was on, because he, it was
our show, or our channel.
Preceded my time working for legendary AM 1500. But when he was in his heyday, I didn't really care about politics. Sure. I was more into, who are the Vikings going to draft, things like that. But my dad did listen to his show, and I know I'll remember this. Rookie tells this story every time because he had to run the board for Rush's show into Garage Logic, and anytime, and this just happens in radio. Anytime the signal gets lost, because it's a show being transmitted through our board. We're not doing the live show; it's being transmitted. And there's just hiccups and glitches.
Yeah, technology was different.
Anytime that went down, the phone lines exploded about this is a conspiracy. You're trying to silence him and things like that.
Really?
So ask Rookie about that anytime that he was mentioned.
When you listen to him do a 3-hour show or whatever it was, third hour, I think he had 3 hours.
Yep.
And he talked by himself for 3. I mean, occasionally he would have a president on or a senator, but he ran a show so well and was so smooth, speaking by himself for 3 hours a day. That's a lot of show prep.
Yes, it is.
Right? That's a lot of show prep. But I found a video of him talking about illegal immigration from 20 years ago, and I'd like you to play it. And are you going to stop at some point?
Oh, I thought you were going to play it.
You want me to play it?
Yeah,
I can
because
play
I
it.
thought you had
Watch.
it. I'm so sorry.
Okay,
I'm so
hold
sorry.
on.
So this is from 20 years ago, you said?
This
roughly?
is from 20 years ago. Let me pause and let me get it going. I didn't know I was on the spot.
I apologize
you tell
for
me you're going to be able to hear this, right?
Yep.
3, 2, 1.
Everybody's making immigration proposals these days. Let me add mine to the mix. Call it the Limbaugh laws. First, you immigrate to our country, you have to speak the native language. You have to be a professional or an investor. No unskilled workers allowed. Also, there'll be no special bilingual programs in the schools with the Limbaugh laws, no special ballots for elections, no government business will be conducted in your language. Foreigners will not have the right to vote or hold political office. If you're in our country, you cannot be a burden to taxpayers. You are not entitled to welfare or food stamps or other government goodies. You can come if you invest here, an amount equal to 40,000 times a daily minimum wage. If not, stay home. But if you want to buy land, it'll be restricted. No waterfront, for instance, and as a foreigner, you have to relinquish individual rights to the property. And another thing, you don't have the right to protest. You're allowed no demonstrations, no foreign flag waving, no political organizing, no bad-mouthing our president or his policies. You're a foreigner. Shut your mouth or get out. And if you come here illegally, you're going to jail.
Think of that. Think of what he said.
Wow.
I mean, that was pretty
That's
shocking.
bold. That's
It's
bold.
bold. I think a lot of people feel this way right now, right?
Well, especially after you read the story that we had in the first segment about paying for colleges.
Paying for colleges, right?
Yeah.
I mean, half the world says, we should give people free colleges. Come on up here. The rest of the half says, hey, you got to speak the language. I don't want you to do this.
Well, you're just asking to just become part of a civilized society.
Exactly. We want you to blend in.
You're welcome here, but become one of us.
You can't get welfare. You can't protest. You can't do all this stuff. I thought that was a little shocking, but there's more to this. I'm going to play a little bit more. Cue it up. You ready?
You think the Limbaugh laws are harsh? Well, every one of the laws I just mentioned are actual laws of Mexico today. That's how the Mexican government handles immigrants to their country. Yet Mexicans come here illegally and protest in our streets. How do you say double standard in Spanish? How about no mas?
Think of that.
Wow.
How brilliant was that, right? He did this thing, and that was his thought. This is, we should accept the same rules as Mexico, because those are roughly the rules of Mexico today. You can't buy property in Mexico. Yeah, if you want to get a citizenship there, you have to invest. I think it was $40,000 at the time. The average daily wage was $1, so it was $40,000. Think of that reverse.
Well, and that's what makes me also mad is just the hypocritical nature of the politicians that have basically implemented all of these different laws. And I'll give you a perfect example. There was a clip that had surfaced from 2007 when Joe Biden was running for, I would assume, when he was trying to get the presidential nomination back in 2007. Because again, so many of these people have been in office for so long that they don't even know how to have a real job, and thus that's why Donald Trump got elected president, because we're sick of, we need term limits, blah, blah, blah. Okay. But the clip was maybe not even a minute long, basically talking about all these various things. We can't have open borders. We can't have people coming.
do it.
But then it's like, well, but Joe, you were in office, and what happened? How come you changed your tune? And that's what's so maddening to me is, and we all know the answer to that. Every single one of these people are just basically saying whatever they need to say to get into office, and then once they get into office, they need to say and do whatever it takes to maintain that life on the third rail.
I heard a really great quote, right? And I kind of thought about it on our show, right? It said, and here's the quote: "You may not always get consistency, but you will always get sincerity from us," right? We might change our minds on some things, but we're always being sincere about what we believe, right? Joe Biden is not being sincere when in 2007 he says, we can't have open borders, and that is Joe, right? You don't grow older and say, now that I think about it, we really should have open borders, right? He's just an insincere liar when he does that, which is frustrating.
Well, and we all know the reason behind the influx of illegal immigrants to this country, and that's basically just to keep hold of congressional seats. Anyone that's got a half a brain understands that that's why this is all being done.
Well, that is funny because every time you ask a liberal pundit about illegal immigration, they always say, who's going to clean your toilets? Who's going to pick your crops? So I think they really, really enjoy slavery because I think they want a second-class citizen who has to work slave jobs for potentially unsafe working, areas, lower wages. That's what slavery was. And I just am not for that. If a head of lettuce needs to go from $5 to $10, so be it, right? I won't eat lettuce. I'm not going to eat it anyways. Now I'm going to double down on
definitely
not
going to eat it.
If
now.
Strawberries double, I don't care. Why do we get to have slaves doing it? And that's what those people are. I'm going to tell you, if you came here to America and you're working, picking fruit, you are working like a slave, and some people are okay with it. They want their cheap strawberries. I'm not for that. I don't think that's fair. I don't think 13-year-old kids should be in the fields picking strawberries. I get that that's maybe a better life than what they had in Mexico, but we don't have to do that here. We don't have to do that. And the people that say we want them all to come in because they're going to do jobs that Americans won't do. What? So you just want slaves? That's a very repugnant thing for a lot of people to say, in my humble opinion.
Yeah, and I guess that's also the angle too, because I think it was it California. You get all of these people that were up in arms going, well, now what? Now what am I supposed to do? Basically saying the same exact thing that you were just saying.
Yeah, I mean, it's literally when Trump came out and said, hey, hospitality, restaurants, ICE isn't going to go to those into those industries, right? Why? What do you mean? So we'll allow slaves in the fields, or we won't allow slaves in manufacturing, but we're going to allow them in restaurants. What do you mean?
Yeah, I don't.
It's either good or not good. And we have this de facto system anyways. These people came in, we invited them in. We have de facto immigration anyways.
Yep.
We have to do something about it. And I think Rush was right when saying, hey, you have to learn the language. You can't protest. You have to pay taxes. You can't be on welfare, and then you can stay. You also have to go get the best job you can get. You can also do the best for your family. Also, you should have some children because we're dying as a country. All those positive things. But what we can't have is just this second-class illegal citizen that half the people see as slaves, which is just repugnant to me.
His name is Mike Fratelloni. My name is Chris Reavers. This is the Weekly Scramble podcast, and we will be. I need to ask you a question.
Yeah.
Need you to be honest with me.
Yes.
How much of the NBA draft did you watch last night? Because I got to tell you, I have two basketball and sports obsessed young men in my home, and we did watch a little bit of it. We were checking in and out of the NBA draft last night.
I am so proud of the Minnesota Timberwolves, Reavers. I can't believe, we had talked when we talked about different genders playing sports, right?
Sure.
And I always said no women ever go to the NBA. Men that potentially dress like women or transition to women move to the WNBA, right?
Sure.
So you never go from women's sports to men, you go from men's sports to women. But the Timberwolves finally broke that gender paradigm, and I can't believe it when they went ahead and drafted Joan Berenger. That is super impressive. What? What's so funny? What?
Joan is a male.
No.
Yes.
Joan?
Yes.
Joan?
He is French.
Oh, it's
Joan.
Joan.
Berenger.
But, okay.
And see, that's how different our minds work.
Okay, because I just read a headline.
Sure.
I was like, you go, Timberwolves.
Let's
You
go
got it.
here.
Let's see what
I am
this
now
chick
all
can
in.
do. Wow, okay.
But see, when I saw the name, I immediately went to former Minnesota Twins relief pitcher Juan Berenger,
Berenger, yeah.
because it looks very similar in spelling, and that's where I went right away.
Who was the last Frenchie we had? Didn't we get a different
Oh,
Frenchman?
we have Rudy Gobert.
Rudy Gobert. But before that, didn't we have someone else?
Well, Rudy Gobert's still on the team.
I know that, but
Oh.
I'm trying to think of didn't we do this once before? The
And
Timberwolves? Overseas. I thought it was a Frenchman before, and I thought, well, or maybe I'm thinking Ricky Rubio, which is
That might
not
be who
French.
you're thinking of, yeah.
And I thought, okay, of all the United States, of everything we got,
Let me see.
is that the best we get? Do you know anything about Joan?
I don't even know he existed until the Timberwolves picked
We
him.
had a 7th pick, right?
17th.
17th pick.
Yep.
So we're starting to get out of America. We invented basketball. We are basketball.
Last year, if I'm not mistaken, because Royce talked about this on Monday Night Sports Talk at some point. I believe it was last year, of the 30 picks, because there's 30 teams, there's 30 first-round picks. Of the 30 first-round picks last year, I believe half of them were not from this country.
Makes a little sense. Remind me, I'm saying his name wrong. Djokovic. He's Slovakian.
Oh, you're talking about for the Denver Nuggets?
Doncic, yes.
No, Luka Doncic.
Luka Doncic.
Okay.
He's what? Slovenian.
He is from, yes, I believe so.
Something like that. How many Slovenians did they bring in?
Now I'm trying to look at what other French player the Timberwolves had. Okay.
Maybe I'm making it up.
No, because you're thinking of, Luka is from here. I'm going to look it up because I don't want to offend our friends overseas.
I thought
might be
Luka
listening to
was
this.
Greek.
Luka is from Slovenia.
Oh, I know. I knew Luka was from Slovenia. Okay.
Now who are you looking for?
So Luka, what about Doncic Nokovic?
You're thinking of Nikola Jokic.
Nikola Jokic.
And he's from Serbia.
Serbian or Slovenian?
Yes.
How many of the 30 that were picked?
Oh, boy.
Because what happens is when we find studs from countries that no one gives a crap about, we say, hey, there's probably another 7'2" giant out there.
Well, this is all a product of how big the Dream Team was back in 1992 and what it meant for basketball worldwide. Right? Because all of a sudden, the Dream Team, it's Jordan, Magic Johnson, Larry Bird, these guys go out and dominate the Olympic Games and all these other countries. Because if you've watched The Last Dance, right?
No.
Okay.
I'm going to watch that.
It's actually really good. It's really good.
Yeah.
But when you see the part about Jordan basically taking on the Dream Team on his shoulders, because he was the best player on the planet.
Sure.
And what it created in all of these other countries, it just became, basketball's a thing now in our country, everywhere. And that's why I think it would be kind of cool, because the concept has been brought up, because the NBA All-Star Game is such a joke. One of the ideas that's been bandied about is have the United States have a team against the world. And that would be pretty cool.
Yeah.
I think that'd be kind of cool.
Olympics are, though.
Right, but this is just NBA players. You know what I'm saying? So this would be the best of the best.
I got another idea.
Oh boy, here we go.
The white players against the black
Oh
players.
my God.
That would be pretty cool.
What the hell is the matter with you?
Asian players against the black players.
Oh my God.
Do we have Asian players?
Oh, sure.
Okay.
We had a couple. Didn't we have a couple drafted last night? I think
I don't even know.
I think we did.
Who was the one kid who came out and played for LA who was super great for like a year? Asian kid.
Oh, you're thinking of he played for the Knicks, but it was Jeremy Lin.
Jeremy Lin. And he was big. And when he started to get popular, somebody in New York wrote an article, and the title of the article.
No, don't say that.
Remember what that title
I
was?
certainly do, because
how dare they do that?
It was an ESPN employee.
It was an ESPN employee, and they used a derogatory Asian term for it, like something about a blank in the armor.
Yes.
And they use that. I'm like, how does that get through? And what a rude thing he's obviously one of the best players in the world. Otherwise, he wouldn't be a not WNBA player, NBA player. Think of how rude.
Well, that
was
was
just
that
shocked
kid's
by that.
last day on the job.
Was it?
And And I think the reason he got away with it was because it was a web production. This wasn't put into publication.
Sure.
It was
Somebody
just
might have
something uploaded to their website, and then somebody obviously saw that, and it was taken down. But still, that kid did that because he's thinking, okay, this might get me a little bit of notoriety. But you're never going to work in the industry again.
I wonder if he was in charge of their marketing department, and he was like, basketball is filled with too many frat boys. I'm going to go ahead and say something totally racist.
Oh, you really hate that person got hired by Liv.
I hate it. I know you Alyssa Hinderscheid. How do I remember her name?
I'm glad that you brought up the NBA, because one of the neat things that I do like about watching drafts, whether it's the NFL draft or the NBA draft, those are the two probably most popular draft shows, and hockey too gets a little bit of publicity, because I think the hockey draft is this week as well. But in any event, I love watching the shots of, hey, we're at the home of the Vikings first round pick, and there's mom and dad, and there's the girlfriend, and everybody in the background, and it's all great. But I got to tell you, I don't know if you saw this or not. But
what's her name? What's her name?
Well,
I know where you have to be going with this.
But here's why. Here's why. Okay. Look at me. It's now, I can tell now I'm of a certain age.
Oh, because she's an adult one.
Because this is the mother of a player.
Okay, so this is not the player's girlfriend. This is the mother of the player.
Let me tell you who you should be looking up.
Okay.
And that's the mother of Dylan Harper.
Dylan Harper was Is Dylan Harper's mom like 4'1" or what?
Yes,
or maybe
he's very
just
short.
So damn tall.
Well, he's also he's got to be 6'8", something like that. I think.
So Dylan Harper's mom, how old do you think she is?
I'm not sure, but
I'll find out.
Her name is Harper, and his mother, Maria Pizarro, spoke to the ESPN cameras moments after the Rutgers man, 19, was picked to join Victor Wembanyama and the San Antonio Spurs. Maria says his flat-out love for the game, his determination, hard work, and humility day in and day out is what made him a star, she said. And I got to tell you.
She was born in the Philippines.
Oh, okay.
And what I think is interesting is even AI doesn't know how old she is. She's approximately 40 years old. I'm like, oh, that's kind of funny. They're just throwing out there like, well, she has a son that's 22. She's probably had to be 18. She's probably younger than that. And so she got pregnant when she was real young. So maybe they didn't want to say anything there. I don't know.
Yeah. So anyway, so there you go.
Yeah.
I'm now older than parents of NBA players that are getting drafted.
And they're still hot. And those parents are still hot.
Right.
Right? Was there anybody? Here's what you should do. FYI, for all those 30 kids that just got drafted, including the chick that we got, Joan.
Not a chick.
All right, just whatever. What you should do is turn to your loving girlfriend that's been with you all through high school and college, because she's been there for you.
Yep.
And you just turn to her. You get down on one knee, because that would get you to the same height, and say, honey, it's been fun. And you kick her to the curb, because life is going to change for you in such a way that you don't even want to have a sweet girlfriend.
Right.
You don't want to say, oh my God, I am such a whore and I'm such a horrible person, to this sweet person who stuck with me when I had pimples and when I was still short and I was bouncing the ball off my feet, but I grew out 12 inches that year. And then someone said, you could probably play professional basketball. You don't want to do it to that girl. So give her a 5-year break. And then when your Achilles goes out, or you get your second DWI, or whatever happens and you're out of the league, then you go back to her. Because maybe you have $50 million, you grab her, you're useless, right, to the world, because you can't do anything as a retired basketball player, pretty much, right? You're nodding at me. And then you say, honey, I made a mistake. But have those 5 years of just total debauchery.
Well, that's the Derek Jeter rule, right? He basically said, I'm not settling down right now. I'm gonna.
Why would he?
I'm going to be single. I'm the captain and the shortstop of the New York Yankees.
Yeah.
Why? I'm not interested in a long-term relationship.
Doesn't mean you can't be kind to people.
Sure.
Just be kind to a lot of them. Right?
And he was.
And they're going to be. Yeah. They're going to, because like I said this, I've said this many, many times. You can't judge a professional athlete for what they do, because no regular guy like you and me has ever walked into a bar and had 10 women say, let's go. Let's go.
Yeah, it's never.
Whatever you want to do, let's go.
And you say that's never happened to me. Not only has that never happened, and it's never going to.
Yeah. Not
right.
only that, not even in my dreams could I have a dream.
I get turned down in even in my sleep.
Even in my wildest fantasies, that would have never happened.
Speaking of professional athletes, I do need to take a quick minute because this popped up in my timeline yesterday, and it actually stunned me. Michael, think about this, because you were with me when this event took place. Or not with me, but you and I were doing the show. It was 10 years ago tomorrow. Okay? 10 years ago tomorrow, June 27th, 2015, that we played at Target Field. It was 10 years ago that we did the very first Town Ball Classic.
Wow.
And I looked, I go, that can't be 10 years ago. And sure enough, because I have a picture, and my now 10-year-old was a baby.
Yep.
I was holding him, standing on the dirt on Target Field, holding him.
Fun.
And I'm thinking, holy crap, does time fly by?
Did you reach down and grab some of the dirt and put a little cross in his forehead like Ash Wednesday? Like, here, son, you got to make it to the majors.
Here's how pristine that field was when I walked on it. It has no give. It's so perfectly manicured that it's not like a regular baseball diamond where the gravel moves a little bit.
Yeah.
It's perfect.
Yeah.
Everything about the playing surface is perfect.
When are we going to get ourselves a new stadium?
Tear that dump down.
Tear that dump down. Reavers, I forgot to mention this, and this I don't know how I didn't get this. Yes.
Very quickly though, before you move on. But so my youngest, that same 10-year-old. Was at the Twins game today, even though they were in a rain delay, or did they officially call it?
I don't know. It's probably it's still raining.
But anyway, he was invited by a buddy of his and his dad and his buddy's dad. And he said, hey, I know we were supposed to go to baseball camp today, but I got Twins tickets. I'm like, heck yeah, blow off baseball camp and go up there. Yeah. But anyway, he got the, what do you call it? The all-you-can-eat tickets were, dogs and nachos and things like that. Mm-hmm. And my kid loves hot dogs.
Okay.
And I said, well, just be careful, because he said he's going to put down about 24 hot dogs. I did not get the official dog count at Target Field today, but I thought, how cool is that? Kind of the full. But anyway, so I
come full circle.
It just was kind of cool. It was very cool.
Today, and I don't know why we didn't remember this, it's our 12th anniversary of the show.
Congratulations.
Isn't that weird? Happy 12th anniversary. Man. It seems very odd that we didn't make a bigger deal out of the 12th anniversary. That's a big deal.
Well, man.
Yeah, 12 years ago tomorrow, on the 27th, I believe, was our first show on AM 1500, and it was called The Beer Show.
2013.
Yeah.
Man, oh man. Yeah, you're right.
2013. Yeah.
Because I had a 1.5-year-old at that time. Yeah. That's crazy.
Think of that. Cow. We've been doing this for a very long time, and it's like we're brand new. I mean,
feels that way, doesn't it?
I mean, sometimes it just feels like we're absolutely brand new. But
happy anniversary, man.
Happy anniversary to you.
That's cool.
You know why this show has lasted so long?
Why is that?
Because you are the best.
Thank you, Michael. As we've mentioned previously, please do us a favor, rate and review the show on the Weekly Scramble format. It really helps us out a lot, and it helps us in a number of ways. And we really do appreciate you for listening and spending time with us on our 12th anniversary. His name is Mike Fratelloni. My name is Chris Reavers. Thank you so very much for listening to the Weekly Scramble podcast. We'll talk to you again next time. Until then, cheers. Oh, that's